Welcome to my latest Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 video, where we'll be flying from London Gatwick to Barcelona in the Airbus A320. If you like this video, hit me with a like, subscribe to be notified of new content, or leave a comment below. So here we are, a nice wet, dank, horrible, sleety day at Gatwick Airport. This is the A320 EasyJet flight that we're going to take out today, down to a slightly drier Barcelona, although looking at the weather forecast it is overcast. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the cockpit and get this bird ready for flight. So here we are inside the cockpit. This is what they call a dark and cold start, so nothing is running. So I'll just set up the map so that we can follow the route later on as you go through down to Barcelona. Just position some of the windows so that they're in the correct positions. If I zoom in, you can see exactly where we are in Gatwick Airport. Parking gate 139, I believe. First thing we need to do is get the engines or get the aircraft what they call live. So we start the batteries and then we can get some external power. Next thing we do is we start getting the ADIRs lined up so that they can get local aligned to our position in the world. A bit like a GPS, it takes about 8 minutes for them to line up, so get them going while we set up everything else. Turn the fuel pumps off. Get some warm air into the cockpit and into the cabin. We'll set the lights in the passengers for the passengers, so fasten seat belts and no smoking. We'll arm the emergency doors and get a little bit of light onto the panels. The next thing we need to get doing is getting the APU started so that we can run off our own energy. Okay, so let's lock the cockpit door so passengers can't get in. We'll set the anti-skid. I'm not going to put the weather radar on at the moment. I know it's bad out there. You can see that from the weather that we've got. Now, I've got an app that I use on my iPad or tablet. You can download it free of charge from any app store, and it gives me the local METAR information for basically whichever airport I want. So I've currently got it in for Gatwick and Barcelona, so I can check what the atmospheric pressure is at the moment, and it's quite low today at Gatwick at 991. That allows me to set the barometer inside the cockpit, which you'll see is currently at 1013, and I'll change that in just a second. It also tells me that the active runway is 26 left, and it also gives me the active runway and wind and velocity for whichever airports I've chosen. So the APU is now live, so I can put the bleed on. I've set the nav lights as well, so that tells the external ground crew that we're actually the aircraft is powering up. That's not available yet, and as you can see, it's still got another 6 minutes to go. So let's just get a little bit of extra light onto the panel so that we can see what we're doing. As I say, it's very dark, even at 10 o'clock. Or 9:30 should I say at the moment. That's the current time. You can see 9:27. Our scheduled departure today is around 10 o'clock, and we're expected to arrive just before 12 o'clock. So just over, just under 2 hours of today's total flight. Okay, it's now time to set up the MCDU, or what some people call the McDo. It usually takes me about 8.5 minutes to do this, although that's a lot quicker these days with the current version of the A320 fly-by-wire that links directly to SimBrief, which is what most people use, or I certainly use, for my flight planning. So I'll just go through now, pick up the basic route. We're going to get the weather or the METAR information for London Gatwick, as well as Barcelona. This is the in-game METAR, but looking at what it returns compared to the app that I use, it's almost identical. Hardly anything changes. We'll get the ATIS information, although it doesn't return it very quickly, so I don't actually view it later on. Again, the app tells me that I've got which active runway it is and what the weather is, etc, etc. Don't need to worry about that. So we'll just go through, and we've done the initial prep. We'll have a look. As I say, the ATIS hasn't returned yet, but the METAR has returned. So if we have a look at that, we can see the QNH is 992 according to the game. My app said it was 991, so very, very close. Next thing we want to do is our performance and weight. So this is our fuel payload, again taken from SimBrief, and this is our passenger information. And as you can see, we've got 150 passengers on board today. We'll get our basic flight plan in, which will give us all of the waypoints from SimBrief. Again, a little bit of a bug sometimes. It doesn't always go in first time, so if you just clear the not in database and press the request again, it all goes in. We can see today our cruising flight altitude is 39,000, and it's predicted at -52 temperature. SimBrief itself is actually saying -71, so it's not picking that information up from SimBrief, so I'll just correct that. So we put the flight level of 39,000 and -71 for the temperature. Pretty cold up there. We'll go on to the next one. So we've got our zero fuel weight. So this is just literally the weight of the aircraft without any fuel in. And again, SimBrief tells us it's 56.6. And we've got our centre of gravity at 30. We'll scroll up and have a look at what fuel we've got on board now. And as we can see, we've got 8,300 or 8.3 kilograms. So that's our block fuel, 8.3. So we'll put that in, so it gives us our takeoff weight of 64. We've got a headwind today, so we'll just put that in of 14. So it's going to slow us down a little bit. And again, all this is found in SimBrief on the flight plan. And as you can see, it still takes quite a long time. As I say, it takes me about 8.5 minutes to fill this in. This is our predicted takeoff and whatever, but we'll come back to that because we've got to get our SID and STAR departure and arrival in. So I think we do that now. I'm just picking up the flight route. So our departure today is via 26 left, and we're going via the SFD transition. So let's scroll down and find the SFD1X. There it is. That is our transition. So this is our SID. The SID stands for our standard instrument departure. Our arrival today is on ILS 25 right, I believe, and we're going by the ALBE 1W transition STAR, and the STAR stands for our standard terminal approach route. All airports, or all major airports, have these, and you can get this information from using SimBrief on the plan, but also from navigational charts. I use Navigraph for my charts. So we'll just complete the STAR for Barcelona. We'll insert that. So that is our flight plan completed. Next thing we do is our takeoff prediction. So we give flaps 1, transition altitude of 6,000 feet, which is what's standard in the certainly in the UK, most of Europe. Predicted V1 131 knots, 132 for VR and 136 for V2. We'll set up our ILS radio approach for Barcelona for the runway that we're going in at, which again I can look up using the nav charts, and I believe the runway 26 right is 109.5, so I'll be putting that in any second for the nav 1 frequency. This will pick up the glide slope and the localizer, which I'll explain a bit closer to the time. We've nearly finished. We've just got to put in our destination information. So I can put the QNH in, I can put the wind and speed, and again I'll get a lot of this from the app. So the QNH at Barcelona at the moment is a bit higher pressure at 1014. Well, at the moment it's 1015, but when we arrive it's 1014. Our temperature is 9 degrees. 230 degree wind across the runway at 4 knots. So it's not that windy there. The transition altitude will be 6,000, but I'll enter that closer to the time. And our decision height is 2,000 feet. The decision height is, can I see the runway? Is it clear at 2,000 feet? If not, we then go around. So we've just about got the McDo complete. All we want to do now is just step through the flight plan on the display screen, which is currently lit up in orange. I'll take the weather off, and we can change it to plan, and that will allow us to, so I'm just changing it to plan now, and that will allow us on the McDo to just skip through, as you can see now, the flight plan itself and the route, so we can see whether there's any anomalies, any gaps, any all of a sudden it diverts off in a strange direction or not where we actually expect it to go. So as you can see, this is straight down over France, and we can see the route that it's going, and you'll see the approach plan as well, or the star, as we get closer to Barcelona, which it's just showing us now. It's a bit of a zigzag, you know, comes in, down, back up on itself, down, and then back on the approach. So that all looks fine. The next thing we need to do now is start thinking about getting passengers on board. We'll just do set the flight directors, and we'll start thinking about getting passengers on board. While the passengers are boarding, we're going to put it onto a time lapse, so it's going to go at 4 times speed. That's just so that you're not sitting there doing nothing. I've just turned the co-pilot's screens off because that just increases the frame rate, because I haven't got a co-pilot at the moment, so they don't need to see it. And you can see the frame rate counter in the bottom left hand corner. So we've just called the jetway in, and I will instruct the app to start loading the passengers. I usually use self-loading cargo. Unfortunately, I've got a problem with that at the moment. It's not working, so I'm using a different one, which is called Luke Air Tool, which is very similar. I don't think it's as good at the moment, but hey, it gives us some sort of background noise. So I'm now just getting the cabin crew to open the doors and start loading the passengers, and when they start loading, I'll go into this time lapse mode. Better give them some oxygen, hadn't my air supply. Don't want them breaking down. There we go. Call the crew to say, right, we're now ready for you to start loading. As I say, the time lapse lasts about 2 minutes, where it would have lasted 8. Okay, let's get ready to time lapse. I'll see you when the passengers are loaded. Okay, and welcome back. And as you can hear, the passengers loaded.
Welcome on board our EasyJet service. Please place your large bags in the overhead locker, wheels first. Keep your small items under the seats in front. These include laptops, handbags, duty-free, and loose items of clothing. Once you have safely stowed your cabin bags, please take your seat. To help us ensure a prompt departure, we kindly ask that you keep the aisles clear, enabling all remaining passengers. Your seatbelt and now be fastened ready for departure. This is a no-smoking zone. Thank you for observing the fire.
As you can see, we've now retracted the jetway, and I can instruct the cabin crew to lock the doors.
Cabin crew, please close doors. Thank you.
And now we can start thinking about the pushback. A couple of other things we need to do in the cockpit first, but and we'll tell the passengers that we're waiting on clearance, and then we can get ready to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are just waiting for clearance. Hopefully this won't take long. I will let you know if anything changes.
Okay, as everything's ready, the last thing we need to do is take the external power off, because we don't want to pull the electricity wire out of the truck, and we can get ready to do the pushback itself.
We now ask for your attention while we take you through the safety procedures on this aircraft. A safety card is in your seat pocket, showing the exit route, oxygen mask, life jacket, and brace position that you must adopt if you hear brace, brace. There are 2 emergency exits at the rear, 4 in the middle, and 2 at the front of the cabin. Floor lighting will guide you to an exit. Please be aware that your nearest exit may be behind you. In an emergency, leave all cabin baggage on board. Your seatbelt is fastened, adjusted, and released as shown. It must be fastened when the seatbelt signs are on, and we recommend that you keep it fastened at all times. If the air supply fails, masks will drop from above you. Pull a mask towards you to start the oxygen. Put the mask over your nose and mouth. Hold in place with the strap. Pull on each side to adjust. Put on your own mask before helping others. If you land on water, take the life jacket from under your seat. Put it over your head. Pass the tape around your waist. Click together and pull the strap to adjust. Do not inflate it inside the aircraft. When outside, inflate by pulling the toggle. If it fails to inflate or needs topping up, blow into the tube. There is a light and whistle to attract your attention. We also carry flotation aids for children. Your tray tables must now be stowed, armrests down, window blinds open, and seatbelts fastened. We wish you a pleasant flight with EasyJet.
Okay, so thank you for the cabin crew for giving the safety announcement. Just a little bit further to go on the pushback. Just need to straighten up on the taxi line. There we go, we're as good as. So we disconnect from the tug, put the parking brakes on, and we start going through now the final preparations for taxi. So the first thing we need to do is arm the speed brake, set the flaps to 1 as we decided in the McDo. We arm the auto brakes to maximum in case of an emergency. As it's raining, we need to put the windscreen wipers on, both left and right. They'll be turned off before we take off. And give a little squirt of repellent. I don't know whether that works or not. But now we can get ready to start up the engines. Couple of final checks on the instruments. Make sure it's clear, and we start engine 2 first. Now unfortunately this is a little bit of a mistake on mine. I'm looking for the numbers counting up on the top screen, but they are obscured by the banner across the top, so I apologise for that. You can hear the engine spooling up, or engine 2. We start engine 2 first because that's where a lot of the electronics are for the aircraft, and we want to make sure everything starts okay. Once engine 2 gets up to speed and we get the available sign lit up, we can then start engine 1. So I've just got the sign, so we start engine 1. And again now we wait for that available sign. It comes inside the top, right at the very top of the charts at the top, or the needles at the top, but it's obscured by the banner. I will make sure in future videos that that doesn't happen. But you can hear the engine spooling up at the moment. So now that engine 1's up, or both engines are good, we put it on normal and it's time to disconnect the APU. We're now under our own power, or engine power, so we need to put the engine bleeds on now. We put the taxi lights on. And we get ready to taxi. So let's taxi to departure runway. It's about a 5-minute taxi ride. You can see in the map at the top our aircraft is currently moving from right to left. We'll head south, or we'll take a left turn at the end of this grey block, and we head down towards runway 25 left. You can tell which runway it is on the map because it's got that white line going down, which is the flight director flight plan. I've just done a brake test, so we're okay with the brakes. We know they're working. And yes, I'm using real time, real weather. So this is currently what it's like today in Gatwick at this time. Pretty miserable. But the passengers are nice and cosy inside the cabin. A bit later on you'll see, because it gets to -71, even though we've got anti-ice on in the cockpit for the for the engines and wings, etc., ice accumulates on the tail fin and on the fuselage because of the temperature through the clouds. I'll let you enjoy the taxi ride, and I'll come back when we get ready to stop short. So, welcome back. We're just approaching our stop short sign, where we'll do our final checks, make sure the taxi lights are off, the landing lights are on, we make sure the strobe lights are on, the wing lights, all the lights that we require. You'll just see that the lights have just changed. I'll just make sure that all the lights that should be on are on. As you can see, the anti-ice is on, and we'll get the cabin crew to prepare for takeoff. And once they're seated, we'll get going.
Cabin crew, prepare for takeoff.
Okay, everything's now ready. The crew are seated and secure. We can now move on to the runway, so we're ready for takeoff. There's a few final things that we've got to do. One of the things obviously is turn the windscreen wipers off. We can't have them going when we're up in the air, otherwise they'll probably get ripped off at the speed that we're going to be travelling. So we'll line up on the runway, put the brakes on, turn the windscreen wipers off, so nice and straight on the runway. Turn the windscreen wipers off. And let's go to Barcelona. Toga takeoff, full engine throttle, let's go. But we nearly took that small aircraft out. There wasn't supposed to be any AI aircraft on this today, but obviously decided to put one in. Bit of wind just took us to the side a bit. Positive rate of climb, gear up. Positive rate, flaps up. Start thinking about putting the autopilot on. Put the autopilot on and reduce the throttle back to climb mode. We've now gone through the toga, we can now reduce it to climb. Indicated on the throttle quadrant there as CL, which I'll pull it back and then it clicks into climb. We can check that on the gauge at the top where it says THR CLB, which is climb mode. Usually I like to pop outside and have a look at the airport that we've just taken off from, but the cloud is so low and dense, you got no chance today. So we're going to do our initial climb to 11,000 feet, following the SID, which is the standard instrument departure. The map on the top right hand corner, you can use that to follow where we are in the world and where we're going to, and our flight plan, because it's got the magenta line on it, which has just temporarily disappeared. It's got the magenta line on it that shows you where we're going to be going, where we're going to be turning, and the waypoints that we're going to be hitting. When we reach 11,000 feet, we then change to go to our cruising altitude of 39,000 feet. The other thing you might want to be interested in, we're just about to go through 10,000 feet, so we'll turn the landing lights off. You turn those off at 10,000, and because we went through 6,000 feet and our transition altitude was 6,000, the barometer has now been changed to standard. I was just about to explain now the banner and the information at the top. So the information on there, you've got the AC, which is the aircraft type. So this is the...
Ladies and gentlemen, take full advantage of your tax-free allowances today and make some amazing savings throughout each range. In your in-flight brochure, you'll find details of our award-winning selection of ships, most with massive discounts, some of which are exclusive to you as an EasyJet customer. Make the most of your opportunity to shop and save from the comfort of your ship. If you'd like to see any products, have any questions, or would like to make great savings, then just ask us and join you in the cabin shop.
I'm presuming now that as we've left the EU and Brexit has happened, that we will be entitled to duty free again. Who knows? But anyway, I was about to explain this banner at the top. So AC is the aircraft type. So this is the A320N, which is standing for the Airbus A320 FlyByWire release. Our call sign today is U28575. That is a real call sign for the EasyJet flight from Gatwick to Barcelona. Our ETA is 11:56. If you remember, we took off at 10 o'clock and it's about 1 hour 55 minutes, so 11:56 is about right. That will keep updating as we get closer. Our current altitude is the real altitude, not the aircraft altitude. So this is affected by the barometer setting. Our current heading in degrees, and the current ground speed, not the airspeed that the aircraft is set to. So this is the current speed if you were running across the ground. In the middle we've got the airport that we departed from, EGKK, which is London Gatwick, and Barcelona, which is our arrival at LEBL. Shortly arriving at our initial departure altitude of 11,000, and I've just set it now to increase that as we're exiting the SID. We now can increase this to our cruise altitude of 39,000, and I've increased the climb rate as well. So the aircraft's speed is automatically increased to compensate for the extra climb, and we started to get out of the initial cloud base. I must admit the atmosphere out, with this game is superb. The detail of some of these clouds is amazing. And as you can see though, we've already started to accumulate the ice and snow from the clouds, and we keep that most of the way because of the minus temperatures at the altitude that we go in. So I'll let you enjoy the rest of this initial climb to 39,000. I'll come back briefly when we reach our cruise altitude to explain what happens next. So welcome back, and as you can see we're just about to reach our cruising altitude of 39,000 feet. Because this is a long flight down to Barcelona over France, I'm going to skip forward to our top of the climb. See you soon. Of course, you're very welcome to continue watching this flight and watching the progress and monitoring the progress as we fly down at 4 times speed. If you're not, you can always skip forward to the time marker of 1 hour 16 minutes and 37 seconds, which is when we will return from this fast forward. Or down in the bottom in the comments I've put time stamps that you can, so you can jump to any part of this video that you choose and watch from there. But in the meantime, I'll see you just before the top of descent. And there you go, welcome back. We're just about to start our descent from 39,000. Hope you enjoyed that interlude as we flew over France and the northern part of Spain. But we're about to hit the marker, as I said, to start our descent. So I'm going to ping the cabin crew. There we go. Put the seatbelt sign on. And now we're going to start descending initially to 8,500, which according to the approach plan is the initial waypoint that we need to be at to start doing our proper star. So as I said, the star is going to take us from our transition point at CLE, which is going to be the start of our approach pattern, down to 8,500 feet, where we'll take a left-hand turn, come south a little bit, then we'll come back on ourselves, where we need to start descending to 6,300, where we start thinking about doing our final turns to line up on the runway, where then we need to go down to 2,300. So I'm going to now leave you in the capable hands of the pilot here, where we're going to descend now to CLE, and I'll rejoin you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will shortly be landing. Please ensure your cabin bag is safely stowed with your laptop inside. Your tray tables must be stowed, armrests down, and window blinds open. You now need to be seated with your seatbelt fastened, ready for landing. Please help us by handing in any rubbish, newspapers, or magazines you do not want to take with you. The toilets are no longer in service.
I keep forgetting about the cabin crew announcements. So as I was saying, I'm going to let you enjoy this descent, and I will be back at the start of the approach. Again, if you want to skip this part, the time clip shortcuts are in the description below. See you at the approach. So, welcome back. We're literally just about to take the right hand turn at our transition of CLE. As you can see, we've still got a little way to get down to our initial 8,500 height. But on the map at the top, you can see what I was on about. We're taking the right hand turn, approach the first waypoint, then we turn left to go south, then we turn left again to come back on ourselves, come almost in line with CLE again, turn right to start heading almost south, and then we make our final turn to line up with the runway, at which stage we need to be down at 6,300 feet. So as you can see at the moment, we're going a bit too quick and we need to reduce our altitude quite quickly. So I'm going to put the speed brake out and try and slow this aircraft down a bit. You can see the speed coming down at the top, but again, that is the ground speed, not the speed that we're heading across the air. That should be enough for the time being. Take it off and arm it. But as you can see, we're still at 12,000 feet. Although at 10,000 feet we need to put the landing lights on. And I'm just now going to start doing the final update of the weather information at Barcelona into the MCDU. And we will need to set the QNH on the barometer to 1014, which is what it currently is at the moment. But we do that when we get close to 6,000 feet. So we're almost down to our target of 8,500 by this turn. So the landing lights have just gone on.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will shortly be landing. Please ensure your cabin bag is safely stowed with your laptop inside. Your tray tables must be stowed, armrests down, and window blinds open. You now need to be seated with your seatbelt fastened, ready for landing. Please help us by handing in any rubbish, newspapers, or magazines that you do not want to take with you. The toilets are no longer included.
Okay, we just make the turn, so I can now start thinking about lowering our altitude now to 6,300, which is the target that we need to do through the waypoints to pick up the ILS at 2,300. We're going to start thinking about lowering the flaps as we hit an airspeed of 230 knots, we can set the flaps to 1, and when we go down to 200 knots we can set the flaps to 2. So I've set a target speed of 220 knots for the aircraft now. And as you can see now, we're starting to rely less on the autopilot. The only thing the autopilot is doing at the moment is actual navigation. So I'm the one that's now setting the target speed and the altitude. Okay, we're going to start making our final checks now in preparation for landing. We're almost down at 6,300 feet. So we'll do one final check of the approach details at Barcelona. I don't think much has changed. The only thing that's changed there is the ILS frequency, the nav1 frequency. So I accidentally updated that to the wrong one last time, so just correct that to 109.5 so that we pick up the right localizer. I think I set it to the wrong runway. So we're almost on this down leg, almost at 6,300. Our speed has just dropped, so I've just increased the flaps a little bit more. We're at flaps 3 now because our speed is now down below 180. We changed the barometer now to the actual barometer settings. And as we know from what we've set earlier, our QNH is 1014, so we'll increase that to 1014. And you'll see now that the aircraft will change its altitude. We're making our last but one turn. And as you can hear, the aircraft is slowing down. My landing speed today is 134 knots. And you'll see outside, we've got a little bit of cloud to go through before we see the runway. Not too much, it's not too dense. I'm probably a little bit too slow here. I've prepared a little bit too early. Okay, we're just about to make our final turn to line up on the runway at 6,300 feet, which we have to stay at for the next couple of waypoints. We need to be at 2,300 feet at Tibla. That is the waypoint at the start of the ILS. I've activated the localizer, and as we can see on that turn, the localizer has already been picked up. So the localizer is now keeping us on a level left and right of the runway. So we know we're on a straight line into the runway. When we reach Tibla and the vertical diamond comes down, which means that we're picking up the glide slope, we can activate the final approach mode. And we get the 2,300 from the navigation charts that tell us that that is what the level we need to be, where we need to be, so that we can intercept the glide slope correctly. So we're finally at Tibla, we're finally at 2,300 or near enough. We've come through the cloud base and we can see the runway in front of us. We can't quite see the glide slope diamond yet. You should see it on the left hand panel. It'll come from the top. So we're at 2,300 now. We are looking to pick up the glide slope. We're on our approach, so we can get ready to put the gears down. We're already at full flaps. We're already at our target landing speed. So we're setting up nice and early for this approach. So gears down. So the vertical diamond is now active and I've activated the approach phase. We're just waiting for it now to actually capture, which I think it already has. So the next thing we need to do is to inform the cabin crew to take their seats for landing. There we go. Sit back and wait for the landing now. We're already on a nice glide slope descent in line with the runway. And I've heard that there's going to be a utility coming out hopefully this month in January that will allow us to play back these recordings and take camera views from different camera angles, so we can see this landing from an external, from different angles. Used to be able to do that in X-Plane very easily, but it's a feature that currently isn't available, and everyone is screaming out for it in Flight Sim 2020. And as auto landing is not available in Flight Sim, although it's available at this airport, we have to do the final couple of 100 feet manually, so we'll be turning off the autopilot pretty soon. So autopilot's off, auto throttle is off, cut the speed, cut the throttle, bit of a heavy landing, but not too bad. We're a little bit right of the centre line, but here we are. Put the brakes on, reverse thrust, and we exit the runway. We've arrived, and welcome to Barcelona. So we'll pull up here, get our clearance to taxi to the gate, and we'll give the announcement to the passengers that to stay in their seats basically and not to move.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cabin crew will shortly be leaving their seats to perform safety-related duties. However, we ask that you remain seated until the fasten seatbelt sign has been switched off. Portable electronic devices for messaging, calls or internet access may now be used. Please make sure that you take all your personal belongings with you, stepping in the seat. Ladies and gentlemen, the cabin crew will shortly be leaving their seats to perform safety-related duties. However, we ask that you remain seated until the fasten seatbelt sign has been switched off. Portable electronic devices for messaging, calls or internet access may now be used. Please make sure that you take all your personal belongings with you, especially in the seat pockets, underneath the seat, and in the overhead lockers. Do take care when opening the lockers in case anything falls out. Smoking is not permitted until you reach a designated smoking area. On behalf of the captain and the crew, it has been our pleasure looking after you today. Our ground crew will help you complete your EasyJet journey. For the latest news, promotions, flight and destination information, check out our official Facebook page, Twitter or EasyJet app.
So we're just going to taxi up to our parking gate. Go and find one that's vacant. Take a right hand turn here and go and find a vacant spot. There we go. This one on the left should be alright, but I've taken the wrong turning, so move over to the left a bit, because the right hand stand is already taken. Let's just get ourselves lined up ready. We need to be a little bit closer to the jetway for it to come in. Put the brakes on a little bit too hard then. And here we are, joined up with our fellow EasyJet planes. We're not too bad. Parking brake on. We can start shutting things down a little bit now. And we can call the jetway in a second to start letting the passengers off. Let's call it in. That's it. Passengers can start leaving, and we start turning lights off. We can start the shutdown procedure now while the passengers are leaving. If you like this video, hit me with a like, subscribe to be notified of new content, or leave a comment below. As well as any old comment that you want, it's say you like the video, whatever. But if you have any suggestions on any flights that you would like me to do of 2 to 3 hours, be great, or 1 to 3 hours, preferably EasyJet, then I can plan them and put them up here. By the sounds of it, the passengers are now almost disembarked, so we can do the final bit of the shutdown of the aircraft. There you go, they've gone. So final bit of shutdown, and we'll be done. Turn the electrics off, and we'll have a look at the logbook. Yep, everything's done. The jetway's gone. Or jetway's just going. That's the final sign that the passengers are off. And last little bit. Okay, everyone's definitely gone. It's now just time to start closing everything down. So we'll switch things off. Switch the external power off. We don't need that. We switch the batteries off. And the last thing we do is cut the feed to the avionics. And that will be it. We get our logbook. Okay, and we just get our logbook now for the entry. Thank you very much, and hope you've enjoyed the flight, and look forward to flying with you in the future. Thank you, and goodbye.